Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and in this video, we're going to be discussing the possible fourth stimulus check, updates on the current infrastructure bill, and then some other stimulus related news. But first, if you do enjoy related content like this one, and you wouldn't mind just taking a few seconds out of your day to like this video, it definitely helps me out and I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so diving right into some news for today. First off, we'll be going over to California, where they're looking to help pay back rent for low-income tenants. Thanks to an unexpected budget surplus, in addition to federal stimulus money, they currently have a $5.2 billion program in the works that's currently in final negotiations at the state legislature level. This plan would be designed to pay 100% of unpaid rent for low-income California residents, which incurred during the pandemic. On top of that, California is also proposing to set aside around $2 billion, this amount to pay for unpaid water and electricity bills. Also, with the eviction moratorium set to expire on June 30th, Governor Newsom and other state lawmakers will also discuss whether or not to extend banning evictions on unpaid rent past that date. If you currently live in the state of California, let me know what you think of this idea in the comment section below. Okay, moving along to some other news just north of California in Oregon, where they're looking to give $2,000 to essential workers just for working through the pandemic. On Monday, a House bill in the state was introduced where a program would be created to give up to $2,000 in retention incentives for essential workers who stayed on throughout the pandemic last year. In addition to that, the program would also give $1,200 for essential workers to return to work if they're hired after the bill is signed into law. State lawmakers argue that this would not only help essential workers out, but it would also support small businesses who are struggling to hire workers. The $1,200 bonus for returning to work would help as sort of an incentive, which, in turn, should lower the state's unemployment rate. However, don't expect this bill to be signed into law anytime soon, as Oregon State Democrats have already said they don't expect this plan to come into action until some point next year. As it stands, Oregon currently ranks 31st out of all states when it comes to unemployment. At the top of the unemployment statistics sits Nebraska, New Hampshire, South Dakota, and Utah. All four of those states currently have an unemployment rate of just 2.8%. Speaking of unemployment, just last week, weekly jobless claims actually increased for the first time since April. In total, jobless claims totaled 412,000, with the majority of them coming from Pennsylvania and California. Continued unemployment claims, on the other hand, continue to sit at just above 3.5 million, which, when compared to last year at 18 million, is quite a bit better. Some lawmakers also argue that unemployment is much higher than it should be, considering the amount of businesses trying to hire but struggling to do so because of the generous benefits. Because of this, some states are taking action to end the $300 weekly benefits. This past Saturday, for example, 9 states actually ended the enhanced benefits, which cut off aid to more than 440,000 unemployed adults. So far, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Alabama, Alaska, Idaho, Indiana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, West Virginia, and Wyoming have all ended the extra jobless benefits. Over the next month, an additional 14 states will also be joining them. This will bring the total to 26 states cutting off unemployment benefits to its residents before the federal funding expires in early September. With that said, what do you think about these states ending the extra benefits before September? Do you think that it's a good idea and that people may be using the unemployment as a disincentive to actually return to work? Or do you side with other lawmakers who say the extra aid may still be necessary? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. In some other stimulus news, President Biden is set to meet with lawmakers from both sides of the aisle this week, Republican and Democrat, where they hope to iron out a final plan based around infrastructure. With the president holding out hope that the two sides will reach an agreement, progressive Democrats continue to push for the do it alone approach. Currently, there are around 21 senators from both parties that have agreed to a $1 trillion spending plan, mostly based around transportation, broadband, and water systems. While this is a step in the right direction for reaching a deal, progressive Democrats still say this plan doesn't do nearly enough to fight climate change. Senator Ed Markey, for example, said he will not back a bill that doesn't include more funding to combat climate change. Markey said that he will not support any deal that does not have climate at its center. In addition to what's in the bill, there are also debates on how the bill should even be funded. Currently, President Biden says he would not support a potential increase in gas tax or mileage fees, being that during his campaign, he promised not to raise taxes on those earning less than $400,000 on a yearly basis. This would obviously be a non-starter. So, Democrats really have a couple of different options here. The first option would be to lower their price tag, reach a compromise with the Republicans, which would only require 10 Republican votes to get the bill passed through the Senate. Or their second option would be the do it alone approach, where, just like their last bill, they can pass it through reconciliation, and by doing this, pass a bill with only Democrat votes. The problem with doing this is not only will it take much longer to do so, but it could also backfire by showing they're not willing to work with Republicans on the deal. With the midterm elections coming up in 2022, Democrats could risk losing the House and also possibly even the Senate. Also, Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, that's really getting on the nerves of progressive Democrats, has already signaled that he'd like for this bill to be bipartisan. So it's unclear whether or not Manchin could get behind any deal without having at least a few Republican votes. But those are basically the two options the Democrats have. Spend less and reach a bipartisan deal, or go with the do it alone approach, and then at that point, you just risk that backfiring when it comes to the upcoming midterm elections. Let's wait and see. As far as the next relief payments go, it's still expected that the first round of $250 and $300 monthly checks will be sent out on July 15th. Just as a refresher, if you have children under the age of 6, you'll receive $300 for each child. Then, if you have children ages 6 to 17, in that case, you'll be receiving $250 per child. If you file tax returns for 2019 or 2020, or if you sign up to receive a stimulus check through the non-filers tool, you'll get this tax relief automatically. In other words, no action will be required on your part in order to receive these monthly payments. If you didn't file a tax return within the last 2 years and never use the non-filers tool, then you will need to take action in order to receive these payments. To do this, you will need to fill out the Child Tax Credit non-filer sign-up tool. This can be found on the IRS website, and I'll also leave a link in the description box below. Here, not only will you be able to apply and receive these stimulus checks that you may have missed out on, but you can also update all of your information. Also, if you wish to not receive these monthly payments and instead you would rather receive the money all at once at some point next year, you can ask to opt out of receiving them. So on the site, as you can see, it says who should use this tool. It says use this tool to report your qualifying children born before 2021 if you are not required to file a 2020 tax return, didn't file one and you don't plan to, and you have a main home in the United States for more than half the year. Then it says also if you did not get the full amounts of the first and second economic impact payment, you may use this tool if you are not required to file a 2020 tax return, didn't file and don't plan to, and you want to claim the 2020 recovery rebate credit and get your third economic impact payment. Then it says do not use this tool if you filed or plan to file a 2020 tax return or claimed all your dependents on a 2019 tax return, including by reporting their information in 2020 using the non-filers, were married at the end of 2020 unless you use the tool with your spouse and include your spouse's information, or are a resident of a U.S. territory, or do not have a main home in the United States for more than half the year, and if you are married, your spouse does not have a main home in the United States for more than half the year, or do not have a qualifying child who was born before 2021 and had a social security number issued before May 17th, 2021. So basically, you will only fill out this tool if you didn't file a tax return within the last 2 years, or if you did not use the non-filers tool in order to receive your stimulus checks. So if you did receive a stimulus check this year or last year, you should not need to fill out this tool. The IRS will already have all of your information, and you should begin receiving either the $250 or $300 payments on the 15th of July. Now, as far as a forced stimulus check to everyone else, like the $600 one, the $1,200 one, or the $1,400 one, unfortunately, at this point in time, there's really not too many talks about it. There are still some progressive Democrats pushing for another check, maybe recurring stimulus checks, or a $2,000 stimulus check. There's also a website with a lot of signatures of Americans pushing Congress to push for a forced stimulus check, but at this point in time, there's not a lot of push widespread among Congress. We don't hear the president talk about a forced stimulus check. And interestingly enough, I want to mention this again. Last year, the now Vice President Kamala Harris, who at that point in time was actually a senator in California, was really pushing for recurring stimulus checks. I think she was pushing for $2,000 on a monthly basis. Now that she's vice president, you would think that she would have a little bit more pushing power to say, hey, Mr. President Biden, let's really get these stimulus checks. Let's do recurring checks, $2,000 per month to the American people. But now that she's vice president, she doesn't really seem to push for this recurring payment. So it really makes you think maybe she was just going on Twitter saying we need recurring stimulus checks to get the Americans behind her, because obviously that's a very popular idea, but now that she's vice president, she sees that it's not really a realistic option. If there are more talks about a forced stimulus check in the future, I'll definitely keep you guys updated, but unless there's another large-scale shutdown, I really don't see there being a forced stimulus check, at least anytime soon, other than, of course, these monthly child tax credit payments, which I do actually consider to be stimulus because they are monthly payments and they should really help many families out. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated on these payments. Again, July 15th, you should expect the first payments to begin rolling out to your bank accounts. If you expect a check to arrive in the mail, that should also arrive right around July 15th. Hopefully it's not too late for many of you guys. And on that note, I am going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you would like to receive a couple of free stocks from Webull, with both of them valued up to $2,300, make sure to go ahead and click the link in the description box below and claim them. Just by opening the account, you'll receive the first stock, this one valued up to $300. And then if you deposit at least $100, at that point you'll receive the second free stock, this one valued up to $2,000. And then of course with the $100 that you deposit, you can either buy more stocks and continue investing with the $100. If you don't wish to continue investing, you can then just transfer the $100 back to your bank account. And then you can even sell your stocks and transfer that money to your bank account as well. So let's say that you receive a couple of free stocks. You receive one for $25, another for $50. That's $75 in total. You could sell both of those stocks and then transfer the $75 back to your bank account. So this is pretty much free money or free stocks. I would definitely take advantage of that if you would like. Again, that link will be in the description box below if you do want to check that out. Also guys, if you did enjoy the content in today's video and you'd like to see more videos like it, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take just a few seconds out of your day to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also ring the notification bell. That way, you'll be the first to know when I do upload a new video. Alrighty, so until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.